Good morning, Yvonne. Thank you for joining me for our very last Mornings with Mayesh. Can you believe it, guys, of 2021? Are you ready for next year? 2022 is set to be another year for the books with so much uncertainty, supply chain issues still, and who knows what else. Being prepared and planning will help you make it through another crazy year. And that is why Ryan O'Neill from Curate is joining me for today's show, guys. We are going to be talking about pricing, margins, planning for the unknowns, and whether now is a good time to start up a floral biz, because I know a lot of you guys are thinking about it. So even if you have begun your new year planning or still need to get started, be sure to stick around for this important episode. As always, the replay will be up on our blog along with the podcast, and the replays again will be on all our social media platforms. So come on in, say hello, let's get started, let's have a conversation, and we're gonna get going, guys. Let me bring on Ryan and we'll get the show on the road. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, how's it going?
I am good. How are you doing?
I am doing awesome, doing awesome. Excited to be here, and it feels like 2020 and 2021 have been so crazy that we're able to connect up again and talk flowers.
Yes, I'm so excited. I feel like you were on all the time with me, and then yeah, things got crazy. And then I also like with everything that changed with our design store, I had like just always like a big giant lineup. So
Right.
um yeah, I'm just excited to have you here. And you always bring a wealth of knowledge with you and your passion. So I'm just really excited to do this. But before we get into our conversation, can you just take a couple minutes just to introduce yourself, let us know who you are, your flower story, and then we'll get into the meat of the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Ryan O'Neill. I'm the founder of Curate. We're a software that automates pretty much everything that has to do with your weddings and events. We save you time, help you with profit, increase alignment, and make sure you feel confident, right, about your business. And in 2010, I married this incredibly strong woman who is an awesome florist. And we started our own floral company in 2013. Everyone knows of the effects of Pinterest and Instagram being launched in 2010. It just sort of changed the space of the floral industry. You couldn't just flip through the book anymore and choose wedding number 7. All of a sudden, mason jars were everywhere, and everyone's like, "Wow, this is awesome!" And that led obviously to our industry, a boon in our industry of being able to help people see those really custom visions, right? That really inspired custom story, right, that's being told about them and their love. And so that led to us saying, hey, what if we start a shop? We don't see a lot of people doing this in the St. Louis. We were in St. Louis, Missouri, and she had been the lead designer of the shop, and so we started building our own company. And we were finding as we were growing, the first year was fine, right? As we really didn't have a lot of customers, but as we were growing, we it was taking too long to get back to customers, and they were going with a different vendor, and we just weren't confident in our pricing or the proposals that we were sending out. We had this Excel spreadsheet that looked like Dr. Frankenstein created it. We were terrified it was going to burn down a village, and so like we had physical documents that were printed out with like wholesaler pricing sheets, and then we had a Google form over here, and then we had an invoicing software, and none of this stuff talked to each other. And in the process of looking in that, we were looking at all these other industries. They all had softwares built for managing their events, and the floral space didn't. And so we started building stemcounter.com. A few of y'all out there may know stemcounter.com. That's going old school there. And then that's now Curate, right? We renamed ourselves to Curate. And so it's just been an incredible journey, meeting with thousands of florists along the way and hearing their stories and their successes and even the downsides, right? The 2020s. And so we've loved partnering up with this industry so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan, for sharing that. All right. So you are, I feel like, a huge expert on pricing and profitability. So let's dive into our first question. What are common pricing structures to ensure profitability for our florists?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's something, especially moving into 2022, that needs to be asked. It's incredibly common to see a markup of 3.6 on your florals and something like 2.4 on your hard goods. But what I mean by 3.6, if I like to use the term, if you buy a rose for $1, what are you going to charge for it, right? So if I buy a rose for $1, which I don't think can happen anymore, I don't know, but I used to use this pre 2021. If you buy a rose for $1, that means I'm going to charge $3.60 for that rose, right? That's going to be, now the client may not see that breakout. Most of the time, I've had one florist in the thousands of florists I've talked to that wanted their client to see that breakout. One. And so very, very low percentage of florists that want them to see that. But internally, right, within your spreadsheet or inside your Curate, you set this up to have a 3.6 markup. On your florals, obviously, because they expire. When you have hard goods or maybe stuff that can stay in the warehouse for a little while, your floral foams, your ribbons, a lot of time people won't do as crazy of a markup on those because they're not going to have as much wastage. And so they'll do like a 2-time markup. So if I get, again, using the dollar, if I get a piece of floral foam for $1, I'm going to try to sell it for $2 and make sure that's built into my pricing. You will hear a lot of people in the industry say something like, you do a 3 times markup on florals, and then you want a 20% labor, and they'll really emphasize the importance of charging for labor. And I totally agree with that importance. But what I found after several years of doing this is that some of our most math savvy florists were just like skipping the middleman, right? Instead of doing a 3-time markup and then now it's $3, now I'm going to add 20% on top of that. Now it's $3.60. They were just like, forget that. We're just going to multiply by 3.6 or like by a 4-time markup. If I buy the rose for $1, I'm going to get it 4. That's going to cover any of my labor costs because in the end, that's what matters. So it's just simpler trying to remember that way. The key thing is you always want to make sure you also bump up your estimates on your costs of your flowers if you're pricing them out when you're initially creating the proposals. So this is, you're making a proposal for a wedding in July of 2022. You should not be using your costs from today for 2022. And that's not just an inflation issue, which I'm sure we'll jump into, but you want to make sure that you're saying, okay, things could go higher, things could go lower. But traditionally people will add to their base cost like about 20 or 25%. So if I normally would expect for this to be $1, I'm going to put 125 just to be safe. So that's traditionally how we're seeing people handling that and using our software or their Excel sheets to be able to run those calculations.
Very good. And by the way, we do have roses on Mayesh.com in our Mayesh Direct Box Lot program for under $1.
There we
We have like
go.
60 cents, 80 cents, 70 cents around there. There are some expensive ones in there, I'm not gonna lie, but there are some deals in there too. So you just have to check.
Those cappuccino and quicksands.
Yes,
But
yes.
you saved us. You saved us, Yvonne. Having some because not every bride wants David Austin roses, right? Like you got to be able to have that creativity for sure.
Yes, yes. Creativity, flexibility. That's what the name of the game is right now. That's for sure.
Are you? And I want to ask you a question. I don't know if it's okay for me to ask another question that's on topic. Are you all seeing a lot of people like rethink the events, like reimagine the events based on the fact that prices rose so much that they're trying to say, okay, what does Mayesh have in their box lots? What do they have available that I can still give this person the vision that they wanted and
Yes.
stay within the budget that they needed?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and then that kind of plays into our Mayesh polls as well. So that way they're really working with their sales rep saying, this is my budget for the flowers. This is the look that I'm going for. How can we work together? Instead of saying, I need 20 stems of this particular thing and 30 stems of this, and you know, 1,000 stems of one other thing. It's they're trying to be more flexible, and honestly it just kind of saves everyone's sanity
Mhm.
if you're able to work like that.
Right.
We have seen more people shift. We used to have like just a set certain of kind of customers that would work that way, but now we're seeing that shift even more, which is I think a good thing for everyone.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a good question. I don't get asked questions very often, so this is fun.
Well, we're seeing the same thing, but I'm just like, yeah, obviously you're seeing it from a different angle than what we're seeing, and that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. Okay, our next question is, How do you plan around pricing differences when they're unknown going into next year? And we've seen a lot of this happening, right? I even just like I feel like last week I was going through Facebook and the florist groups and I hear people talking and struggling about like, hey, I sold this wedding for this price and this is what I promised them. What do I do? You know? And
Yeah.
so this is kind of the opposite end, uh, just being proactive and thinking about those scenarios before you're sending out the pricing. And so what do you think about that, Ryan?
Yeah, I think I will piggyback off what you said. I hadn't even thought about the angle that you just approached it from, but reframing, first off, reframing the the need set and the way that you're expressing what you're going to provide for your customers instead of saying, hey, we're going to do exactly these flowers, right?
Hmm.
Right now, start to pull back from that a little bit. That, again, if they absolutely loathe hydrangea, I think it was Madonna a few years ago that was like, oh, I loathe if like somebody caught her on a hot mic. Okay, if you know that they loathe hydrangea, don't put hydrangea in, right? But if you know that they
Right,
love David Austin roses, then maybe highlight that you're going to do that, but reduce the amount of specifics that you're adding to, hey, I'm going to give you this. Like if you go talk to, I don't know, their caterer is not going to be like, yeah, I'm adding salt to that, right? Like it's like, no, I'm going to make something incredible. It's going to blow your mind. You might not understand all the dynamics of it, but I understand the dynamics of it, and I'm a professional, and I'm going to make you so excited about this. Sure, you're going to get chicken, but there's a lot of other ancillary pieces that I'm going to make those pieces. So I feel like in the floral world, a lot of times we are very responsive to customers, which is really important. But at the same time, you have to understand that comes with the risk of 7 months from now. If I've been very, very specific about it, of having to face the consequences if those specifics, I'm basically going to Vegas on it, right? Like, are the
right.
flowers I'm choosing going to be in stock? Are they going to be the right pricing? Am I actually going to make money off of this? So that's the number one thing, right? So piggybacking off of what you said, think more creatively and more broadly about the overall design elements and the story that you're going to be presenting to their event, more so than the actual specifics that are going into it. Even though on the back end, I still recommend pricing it out. You want to make sure you're still estimating out exactly what the information you have to make sure you're profitable on it. It was funny because last year we did a lot of interviews with Curate customers, and I just asked them about, hey, why are you using us? And one of the most surprising things to me, I known forever that we save people time and automate drag and drop from Pinterest. I've known, hey, customers like the fact that they can make sure their pricing is right. But one of the
Right.
things that surprised me the most was an increase in confidence. Right, like that specifically was a pattern, and I feel like what's going exactly what you said, what's going into next year, people just don't feel confident in their pricing. They don't feel confident in what they're putting out. And so I really would recommend, like, the way you get that confidence is by getting as specific as you can and saying, all right, here's what I may not communicate this to the customer, but in the back end of my software or in my Excel sheet, I'm still building out and saying, here's what I think needs to go into this, right? And I'm gonna know. So if I have to make an adjustment, I can do it. I really would recommend uh, raise the prices on all of your floral pricing. I saw an article today that said wholesale pricing across the board, across all industries, increased by nearly 10% in the last year, right? So if you
Right.
think about that, right? Okay, the dynamics of our industry are not retail, right? Like when we're talking specifically weddings and events, it's not, hey, I'm coming in today and buying something, but it's like, hey, I'm estimating something for a year from now. And so you want to make sure, if you're going to be confident in your pricing, make sure you just go through your spreadsheet where you've got all your flowers and update that pricing. If you're a Curate customer, we've got an easy mass edit tool in there. You just click the button and you just go and change. You can go and change 100 items and click save, right? So just go bump up those prices, because remember, you're traditionally working off of projected pricing, not
Mhm.
actual pricing, right? You're just trying to say, I'm going to do the best I can to be the best business person I can, and I'm going to have projected pricing in there. So that's what I really would recommend. Number one, take a step back from naming every single thing and sell them on the vision and the story, and then you have that flexibility to work with your wholesaler. You have that flexibility to be able to work internally with the dynamics of the event if things change. But if you get to the event and everything's exactly like you want it to be, you've already got a plan in place and you already made sure that you priced for a profit. So I would totally recommend that, and it's something that I like to say. If next year, there's a lot of people who feel bad about raising their prices. Listen, if next
Right.
year it turns out that all of a sudden everything in the world becomes cheaper, you can give a refund. If that's what you want, you can do it. But right now, you need to say, hey, I want to, or you can give them a better event, right? Because you have more profit built in. But right now, you need to take that step, and it might be uncomfortable. You might have to think about some things, but everybody's feeling this uncomfort right now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And kind of what you just said, I think, yeah, answers Penny's question. She said you answered while I was typing. Exactly. So, yeah, this is, 4 months, 12 months ahead. I mean, a lot of times we're planning for way in the future, and we honestly just don't know what I mean, even if you talk to your sales rep, we don't really know what's going to happen in a couple of months. We kind of know what's happening now, right? Like
Right.
farms are having a hard time finding fertilizer. They're having a hard time finding boxes so that way they can ship their product. Their, freight from some different places are like astronomical. Like for like one product line, we're like, how are we even going to do this? They ended up figuring it out, and we have a game plan, but it took us a minute, and we had to pause and be like, no one's going to pay those freight prices. Like
Wow.
how do we do that? So it's definitely something that's still going on. And I don't want to, I feel like I kind of talk about the same and I bring it up often, but I just think it's important to be transparent. And I don't want to scare anyone, but it's just, yeah, I think if everyone knows what's going on, and with this conversation with Ryan, then that way we can all plan and hopefully have a better future because we know what's going on,
No,
for
I
sure.
totally agree. I totally agree. And there's just dynamics, right, that are hard to predict. Who would have thought fertilizer, right? Like 6 months ago, who would have thought that would have been the dynamic, or boxes?
Boxes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's, like, such a common thing. Like, right now, I'm, like, swimming in cardboard because I'm sure we'll all hear Remy be barking soon, because there's a delivery, and it'll be, like, my 3rd one today because, there's a certain someone coming to visit soon, so gotta get ready for that. Little jolly old man is coming to visit, so yeah, in my world, I have lots of boxes, lots of cardboard, but have no idea in other parts of the country that, or the world, that
right,
it's an issue.
right.
Definitely an issue. All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Guys, also, like Penny did, if you have any questions for Ryan or myself, go ahead and post those in the comments and we'll definitely get to them. I think this is just a really important topic, and I just want to make sure everyone's feeling comfortable and confident, as Ryan said. We're here to help you guys. Like I said, since everything went crazy, and even before that, we're here and we're in this with you guys together. That
Yeah.
is for sure. Okay, so how do you I think we already talked about this. How do you plan around pricing differences when they're unknown going into next year? Did we talk about that?
We
I'm
we did,
confusing
but I mean, it's
myself.
under the
Yes.
overall thing of planning
Yes.
2022 for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Planning. I'm a little scatterbrained. I had like a little daughter issue this morning, so I'm a little behind. Okay. Planning for 2022. Florists are saying they want to work with the opportunities they're most excited about, which I think is a good thing. What kind of tools are people using to help win those deals if they
Yeah.
want to kind of focus on things, certain types of events and work?
Yeah, great conversation. I was on a video chat with several great florists a couple months ago, prepping for Wedding MBA, and I really started hearing that pattern come out where people were saying, you know what, 20, I've been burnt out by 2021. I don't know if anybody watching has felt this, but just more weddings than you anticipated because you're piling all the 2020 weddings on top of the 2020 weddings. Especially, Penny said she's feeling it for Valentine's Day, especially.
Yeah, my husband too. Usually now, like things are died down and he can like breathe, and he's just been like, because he's the manager at Miami, Mayesh Miami, for all of you that don't know. So he's like, yeah, it's not stopping. It's
Oh my
just
God.
it keeps on going, and it's like you know, bananas still.
For sure, for sure. And
Yeah.
so everybody's feeling it, and the kind of that pattern that I was picking up from these florists, they were saying, "We actually wanna do less weddings next year, but weddings that I'm more excited about," right? I don't wanna feel like I'm just paying a paycheck at this point, 'cause I did that in 2021, and I paid the paycheck for 2020, right? But I want to do events that I'm super excited about, that fit my style, that fit a vision that I can really get behind. And that's great. That's hugely important that you can define that. I know there are some out there that are still like, "Hey, I'll take anything that comes in the door." But I am hearing this as a pattern. So all of those of you who are out there who are saying, "How do I find those better events and get the ones that I'm most excited about?" I'm a big technology guy, so I believe automation is so important. That the numbers show it, right? The quicker you respond to someone who reaches out to you, the higher likelihood that you're going to be able to connect with them and actually move through the process with them of talking about their event and consulting with them about what they're doing. So make sure whatever software that you use integrates your form on your website with your software. That's hugely important. And then make sure that there's some level of automation, like an email that goes out to them relatively immediately so that they can be able to say, "Okay, great, I got this response to this email." And they can start that conversation, right? So even if you're on a ladder or putting up a chuppah, like, you can have those pieces working for your business in the background. So important. Another thing, you've got to be able to tell the story of that event. So one interesting pattern that we've seen at Curate is our customers typically use our software to tell two different stories. They use it for proposals specifically. One type of story is a story about your brand, right? Telling about you and the look that you provide, and the options that you provide. And another story that's more common in for this conversation is a story about the event. So you want to make sure that when you're creating a proposal for a client, whether you're using Word documents, whether you're using a software, whether you're using PowerPoint, all of those are great tools. You want to make sure that you're telling the story of their event and that they can buy into that story, right? Like, and there are things like your color palette, or a lot of people call it their color story, that help sell that vision. So make sure that you're using a tool that can help you tie those pieces together and help that person really see the vision. Another big thing is mobile friendliness. Make sure whatever you're sending to them, if it's on their phone, or if grandma's looking at it on her iPad, or if dad's looking on his work at computer, his computer at his work, that you've given them the ability to have a really responsive experience that tells that story behind it. So
Yeah.
that story is a huge thing.
And just to add on to that, I don't know how close you guys pay attention to your mobile and desktop numbers, but that is something that I look at, a couple times a month. And there have been months where like I have more mobile users than desktop users.
Hmm.
And it's funny because I'll have more desktop users open an email, but I'll have more the opposite click on the email,
Right.
so yeah, I when you're thinking about your website and how people are using it and things like that, make sure that mobile isn't a secondary thought. It needs to be a primary thought, something that's like intuitive and easy for people. Just something that is in your mindset all the time
Right.
because it's not just a thing that's, just a small percentage of people. It's at least half,
Right.
if not more.
Yeah, and there's so many tools out there to do this now. Like,
Yeah.
again, if someone's on a small phone, they need, you have to make sure that they've got, um, you've thought about the inclusivity of that they can click on that, right? And it increases in size, and they can really see what you're saying. But obviously, if I'm on a huge screen, I can see it. But if I'm on a phone, am I really catching that story? Am I really grabbing a hold of the story? And that's huge. That's absolutely huge. Another thing is a gorgeous proposal software, right? Like, you want to make sure you're getting that. Expect to invest in it. There's tools like Details Flowers, True Client Pro is a new one that's popped up. Curate, we love this in being in this space. Some of you may have heard of like Bloom Track or Eularis. They actually became a part of Curate last year, part of the Curate family last year. But you're going to want, the thing is, you're going to be looking for clients that want the best experience. So you got to be willing to invest to give them the best experience, right? It's yin and yang there. If you're investing in your company, that's going to make those great events that you really really want to connect with even more likely to book with you and to connect with you, because you've invested time and effort into systems that help show who you are and help show them that you've caught their vision. And so, yeah, there's a lot of cool tools out there as well. But those are some of the things that I would sort of highlight about what you want to make sure that you're getting within, what kind of experience that you're giving to customers that you absolutely want to win.
Yeah, yeah. And just at the start of this section, right, we're talking about how busy everyone is and how they hopefully maybe want to just hyper focus. And Cece was saying, I'm real tired. And shout out to Cece, our friend. And then she says it's a dumpster fire out there, which, I always love her little quips. They're very fun. So hi guys. Hi Cece. Um, can I take a pause really quick to talk about something that we have coming up? It has nothing to do with what we're talking about, so the segue is terrible. Um, but in the beginning, I meant to talk about this and I just kind of skipped over it. But I wanted to make sure that I let you guys know about this Japanese flower festival that we're planning for January 18th. So make sure that you mark your calendars for that. It's going to be a day immersing ourselves in the beauty and wonder of our lineup of Japanese flowers. It's going to be so fun. David Dawson is going to be joining me, giving us a flower tour. Amanda of Studio Mundine and Amy of the Floral Coach, they're going to be doing design demos. And then we are also trying to work with our Japanese flower auction and the farms to kind of put some content together too, to share with you guys, to kind of share more behind the scenes, kind of what makes these flowers so special. So, and of course, there's going to be some amazing giveaways. Can't have a festival without prizes and giveaways. So stay tuned for more information. That's coming up very soon. Mark your calendars, January 18th. That's my little commercial break there, guys. Was that very professional?
It was awesome. So, where at a question? I mean, I don't know if you know this. Where in Japan, like, are the farms at? In which part of Japan?
I don't know. They're all over. So because they're
Okay.
like little tiny farms and they're all over the place. Yeah, they're not it's at least from what I'm aware, and they're not like these kind of massive
Mhm.
things. I feel like it's more comparable to kind of like the farms that we have, kind of like these specialty farmer florist people that we have here in the US.
Right.
But I'm hoping to learn more about that as we put all the content together for the festival. It's really exciting.
Yeah, we're supposed to be in February. We're supposed to be going to Japan, but I have a feeling it's gonna get canceled. I have a they haven't opened it up yet, so I'm like,
Yeah.
we're at the point we're about to cancel the tickets. But I was like, we're so hoping that we could be able to go to Japan.
Yeah, but I'll find out some areas for you if you guys want to go
Okay, cool.
visit. And
Cool.
maybe I can kind of connect you with my contact over there.
Wait a
Shiggy.
second. This means that I'm becoming a business traveler, right? Not a tourist. If I'm going,
Right.
oh, so I
Does that
qualify.
help?
Yeah, it does. It does, because if you're a business traveler, like, you can qualify to go over, but not tourism. So I'm thinking through some stuff right here.
Yeah, yeah, we can definitely help with that for sure. But anyhow, yeah, usually the one of the reasons why we're doing that, usually, they come here and we do kind of a setup and do like a little show, like local. But that's obviously not happening. So we're gonna try out this kind of virtual show and have some fun with it. See how it goes. All right. Let's move on to our next question. And again, I did get a question in Instagram. A World of Decor Inc. wants to know, can I have your contact details? So, Ryan, if people wanted to reach out to you, how do you want them to reach out to you?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, curate.co is a place of a lot of resources there at Curate. Let me see if I can
Mhm.
add. I don't know if I can tag myself inside of Instagram here, but at Curate is a way you can be able to reach me directly, through our website, or hello@curate.co is also an email address there that you can be able to reach out to. Yeah.
I'll have oops, I put hello with a W on it. I'll have put that in the comments for you guys in curate.co. There we go. And at curate. And I'll share all of that too in our comments. So I have
And I'll post a link
that.
to our page for more information as well.
Yeah. There you go. There you go, guys. And that will be posted up on our blog, in case you didn't get that. And then of course we'll have it in the comments for you guys. All right. So we talked about everything being crazy and lots of weddings and events, and everyone's just going flowering out all over the place. So wilding out. Do you like that? Okay.
I like it.
So with so many weddings, is now a good time to branch out, and create a company if someone wanted to do that.
Sure, sure. I absolutely believe so. There's 2.5 million weddings next year, based on the wedding report. That's more weddings than since 1984. And I like to joke around with
Wow.
people, like, I don't know if people know how long ago that was, but the song "Last Christmas" was written in 1984, right? Like, so that song that you've been hearing your entire life at the mall.
I was 5 years old. Just FYI. You guys
Okay,
can.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
that
been a
was
while.
the last Christmas when you didn't have to listen to Last Christmas, you know? And so, like, there's a lot of weddings that are happening, and so I mean, I really recommend it. There's so many people that are declining weddings, right? Cece, you mentioned Cece. She was one of them. She's very clear. Like, I'm gonna find my people. I don't
Right.
know that I could ever talk like Cece, but I'll try my best. She's like, I'm gonna find my people, right? That I can jive with, that I like them, right? That we're gonna work together. We're gonna have a great dream, and so for her, for other florists, they're being more selective with the types of events that they have, which means for someone who is just starting in the industry. When my wife and I started in the industry, we were doing $1,000, $1,500 event was like top of the line for us. Like, we're so excited about those events because that gives you an opportunity to help people. I saw a whole bunch of stuff on the interwebs the other day about people saying, well, I don't know that everybody should just try to be a wedding florist. I agree. You need to prepare yourself. You need to educate yourself. You've got to do the legwork on it. I'm not saying just jump in and do nothing. But at the same time, if we don't have some people step up, it's going to be somebody's second cousin twice removed trying to figure out why the chuppah isn't screwing together. And that's going to be a worse experience for that person because they just found the only person that they could find to put this wedding together, because everybody was focused on them. We've got to have a new wave of florists who are stepping up and who are branching out and creating. So if there's ever been an opportunity to say, hey, let me get something started, go for it. Absolutely go for it. I really highly recommend you to do it.
Such good advice. I have a question on Instagram that came through, wanting to know the list of apps that you named. Obviously, Curate. We want you guys to check out Curate because we love Ryan and Curate is amazing. And we're going to talk more about Curate soon. We're getting there. But you named off a couple. Can you name them off real
Yeah, yeah,
quick
yeah.
again?
So Curate, check out Details Flowers software. Check out, I think it's called True Client Pro. All of those are tools that help in some aspect. For Curate, our heartbeat and focus is thinking about like all aspects of the business. But there's different benefits of different tools. There's HoneyBook out there. If you're just getting started, HoneyBook's a great tool. There's a lot of really, really great tools out there that can provide a lot of automation for you.
Great. Thank you for that. All right. So let's move on. So that way we make sure if anyone else has questions, we have time for that. Okay. So we talked about it is a good time to start a business. I really do think it is. Just based off of what we just talked about, if people are going to kind of hyper focus on what they want to do because it is overwhelming, you can't say yes to everything. Otherwise, we're all going to go bananas and we need our sanity, what's left of it, to stay intact. Good time for people to kind of start their own business. But it was funny because as you were talking about like really kind of educating yourself, not just about, the industry, but also like what it takes and making sure that you have the technique to do it and all that fun stuff. Um, I just saw like a meme or a reel. It might have been a reel, but it was like what what people think, an event florist is. And it's like someone that's all like hair and makeup is done, beautiful, like clothes on, and she's holding her finished bouquet that she made for her bride. It's picture perfect, right? Like perfect lighting, everything. And then that's like what reality is. And she like has like ripped up shirt on, covered in dirt. Her hair's all over the place. Her fingernails are dirty. And she looks like she's dying. So it was pretty funny. Because
Yep.
it's so true.
There was one on the other day. I think it was Rebecca out of Houston. That she had that. She's a wedding florist. She's like in a warehouse. She's like, what it looks, what you think it is, and then it is what it actually is. She's in a warehouse trying to pull something off from a top shelf, and
Yeah.
it's just like that's life. That's real life.
Yes, it's so true. So true. And by the way, guys, speaking of all the hard work that it takes to be a designer, a florist, I my last interview with Amy Balsters and our last Mayesh Design Star video was all about mindset and self-care. So if you haven't watched either of those, I would definitely check them out both, maybe even over the holidays. Hopefully you have some downtime. You can listen to the podcast even. So I just think it's really important to make sure that you guys are taking care of yourselves, because this line of work is like the real deal. You get to flex that beautiful brain, that creative brain, but there's the whole physicality piece of it, the business piece of it. It's very complex, that and a lot of people just don't realize until they start getting into it. Okay, so we talked about starting a company, about being profitable. Ryan mentioned obviously having software, CRM, that type of stuff. That all is like automation. That's all really important. And so obviously Curate is a great tool to be able to help with a lot of these things. So Ryan, for those of that are watching that may not know about Curate, can you share more about how it can help them as a florist?
Yeah, for sure. Curate's an entire special event management tool that came out of the floral space. We save you time, we increase profit, we increase your alignment with your team and freelancers to make sure everybody's on the same page. And most importantly, what we're hearing from people is that it just increases confidence for them, right? It gives them a confidence to know that their brand is represented well. Again, if I'm on a mobile phone or if I'm on a desktop, I know that the information that's coming out from my company represents all the years and effort that I've put into building my brand. But as well, confidence on the pricing side and on the ordering side, right? That I know that I've got my pieces together. All these pieces connect together, and whether I like it or not, they all connect together in real life. And so knowing, okay, am I charging the right amount for this, right? Am I ordering the right amount on the shopping list? Can I hand over a sheet to my designers that says the exact ingredients for the recipe, so that this person who, labor's crazy right now, right? And I can't guarantee that you're going to bring in somebody who's got 17 years of experience to be a freelancer for you when it's a really crazy weekend. So you got to make sure you've got your pieces in line and you've got a confidence to be able to manage that, right? So everything from the form that they fill out on your website till the proposal that you send out to them, to the rental sheet to know what items do I actually have in stock for that day or not. All of those pieces are curated within our platform, and we just have absolutely loved coming out of the floral space. My wife and I started here, so our heart is still here, and we love the impact that we've been able to make and the stories we've heard from florists as well about how much of a difference it's made.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. And I think Curate is such a great tool. I think just having something, I mean, I remember back in the day when I did weddings, because I did do them before I had kids. I had my Excel spreadsheet, and I, sometimes would like mess up a formula or mess up something, and just throw everything off. So just having a way to kind of help manage that, I think is really, really important, especially to make sure that you're profitable, because otherwise You're not doing this obviously, everyone that's doing it is doing it because they love it, but at the end of the day, it is a business, and you need to be able to support yourself and make money and put food on the table for your family. So, to do that, you have to make money, and you can't be shy about that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally
Yeah.
agree. And so many times in this industry specifically, people love the event and the people so much that they're willing to compromise. And I've heard so many people say that having a tool or a software that they're using kind of puts themselves in check, right? It's that other side of their brain that's like, you could do it, but I got to make sure that I'm taking care of my family, that I'm taking care of the needs, and again, that's to the self care that you mentioned, right? That I've got enough money that I can actually do something for myself, that I'm not just scraping by and barely surviving. And we want to make sure that we're protecting that and helping this industry keep that.
Yeah, and how does Curate kind of help automate things?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
it's super cool. Like literally, someone could go to your website. Let me tell you a story of one of our florists who she'd been using Curate, but she hadn't used forms yet, and she came to an event we did, and she said, "Well, can you help me get a form set up?" I was like, "Sure, let's look at it." While we were there, and she pulled up this PDF, this handwritten answer. It was a form sheet of like 4 pages of questions that somebody had printed out, wrote the handwriting on, and then scanned in and then emailed to her, that she was like trying to keep up with all of the answers. How many grandmothers do you have are going to be there, right? Like how many
Oh my
tables?
goodness.
And I mean, it was intense. And I'm like, and so we worked with her, we got her set up. She was so excited about it. But what we realized is how much time it saved you from literally the website or the form. A lot of people will take the form and just connect it up with their Instagram account or their link tree or whatever, and they'll fill out that form. That form will automatically populate that event for you, like a pre-built template that has all of the line items built in there. You could even, I mean, let me tell you where our software is at. A cool thing we just released. You could even, where it says how many bridesmaids, 7, you can even import that number directly onto your invoice, right? So it says bridesmaids 7 from another template that you had, which is really, really, really powerful, that you're able to automate that through the process, right? So it
Yeah.
comes in, you're able to work with the client, you create a proposal for them, and that proposal is really visual. It's something that really connects with the brand. You can be able to put photos, inspiration boards, color palettes. All of those pieces are included in here. You can drag and drop it from Pinterest, right? You literally just grab the photo from Pinterest and you drop it onto Curate. And so it automates that entire process. But then when it comes down to actually pricing out that bridal bouquet, you're able to click into the recipe and add the ingredients based on the photo or based on what you're going to be doing with it. And then that's going to price it out for you based on your markups, right? So all of these pieces are interconnected. When it comes down to time for the event, you have a shopping list automatically generated from you for you. You have a recipe sheet that is built so that you can hand it to your freelancers or to yourself. For lack of my wife, just she put a big X every time she'd knock out one of those items on that recipe sheet. So it sort of covers that end to end experience for it, and it's that's just so huge with whatever tools you're using. Doesn't matter what tools you're using. Use something that's going to give you that ability to connect all those pieces together so that you aren't spending all that time and kind of squeaking by on the profit there.
Right, and it's so easy to just make a human error, right? Like transferring something over from one thing to another. It's easy to transpose numbers. You know, I don't know how many times I've like my husband's like, "Oh my goodness, someone like ordered, 1,000 stems and they needed like 100 stems of
Oh my
something,"
gosh.
right? Like
Yeah.
so it's just again, helps kind of minimize we're all human, things happen, but like if you can do things to minimize those types of stresses that kind of add up to be a bigger stress, I think is just really huge.
Right. Yeah, and it's just being willing to admit it. I've talked to so many people that they are great business people, right? But they sometimes don't feel like they're great business people, and they got to put on this front and say, "Well, I'm this great business person," right? And you sometimes you just got to say, "Okay, I can be a great business person and not have everything figured out and still make mistakes." Right. And you got to be comfortable with yourself and confident with yourself. And then you just have to ask, now I made these mistakes, or there are these things happening, or these time sucks happening. How do I fix it? Right, one piece at a time, versus ignoring it or trying to not feel bad about myself. Just know that and be confident in who you are. but then still find out how do I fix and make things better? How I continuously make things better.
Yeah, and I think that's then even more important for those of you who are like have a small team. Maybe you're just a team of one. Maybe you're doing
Mhm.
everything on your own. So, even like for my team, even though we're a big powerful team and within the industry in terms of marketing, it's just three of us. So, I'm always looking at what software can I get to like help us do more with the resources that we have? Like what tools are out there to help us automate, to help us organize, to help us communicate, just to help us stay on top of things. And I think that's been really working well for us because we're still a tiny little team. We've been around for God, I've been here for 10 years, guys. So we've grown significantly since then, company wise and marketing wise. But the only way we've been able to do that is just, again, using technology, investing in that. And then obviously continuously learning too is helpful.
For sure.
Right? Okay. I see your question. We're going to get to that after this next question. Just wanted to let you know. I wanted to acknowledge you. I know, Ryan, you and your team are continuously working on evolving Curate. You've mentioned some of the newer things. What else do you have going on that's new with Curate?
Sure, sure. Well, I'll tell you what I can't tell you, then I'll tell you what I can tell you.
Oh, I
So
love I love little inside scoops.
yeah, so we have something top secret happening behind the scenes that you want to everyone is want to going to want to keep an eye out for in March of 2022. That's the goal for us to be able to announce it. A year and a half ago, we had 2 people on our software development team. Now we have 13 who are working away hard behind
Wow.
the scenes at something that's really exciting that a lot of our customers have been asking for years, and we're just rethinking a lot of things, and some customers, we've been doing customer interviews and talking with them about the need sets that they have. So keep an eye open for some really really exciting changes happening at Curate. But the thing I can tell you is we just released a brand new inspiration theme perfectly in time for the 2022 season. It is going to be it is one of the best new looks moving into the season. Super flexible, so you can reflect your brand in it. But we've introduced things like a color palette tool. We've introduced a mood board that's more custom, professionally designed mood board. We've released some tools like being able to move photos instead of we used to have an 8 photo limit on each line item. You can do up to 20, right? So if you've never been in Curate, or if you are in Curate, a tip is if you see the little photos next to the flowers, you can totally just click those little photos next to your recipe, and it'll populate those photos, as many as you want, to create like a mini inspiration board on every single line item. I mentioned a couple of the other automation tools we've done, which is like being able to tie together my forums and the questions that people answer on my forums to the rest of my systems, which is super exciting. So for us, like we've got a lot of new stuff coming, and a lot of new stuff that we've released over the last few months here. That the goal and the hope is for people to be able to get through some of this stuff easier, and have some more automation in their lives. And we're glad we've heard some great feedback on it for sure.
That all sounds amazing and really, really exciting. Cannot wait to see it. Do you have any plans of doing like a live demo of the software anytime soon, Ryan?
Yeah, so we actually do live demos, sort of on demand. We did a webinar last week, I believe it was, for showing off some of these pieces. But yeah, we actually, if there's anyone who is interested in the conversation, let me see if I can get a link. I think I posted it earlier. I'll just share this link, and then we actually have a team of 5 of our consultants, salespeople, that will personally take you through and sort of listen to your particular case and really give you more of a personalized conversation of here's what the platform does and here's how it would work in your situation.
Very good. So exciting, guys, right? If anyone uses Curate already, I'd love to hear from you guys and how it's working for you. Us know if you have any questions. I did see a question here from Penny. She says, apart from the flower part, what do you use or educate for social media marketing? What do you use to educate for social media marketing? I shared some of my favorites. I don't know if you have any because I know you guys kind of stay up with everything. But I love Social Media Examiner. That's one of my favorite go-tos. I listen. They have a podcast too. So I try to listen to that occasionally when I'm walking in the morning. And then obviously I love Gary Vee. He has a couple books out that I really love, and I just like watching him. And I love that he swears. That's fun. I'm actually a big swearer myself. I just don't do it here. Ask my girls. And then also I have like an episode, I think it's from 2020 with Amy Belsters. We talked about Instagram and social media marketing. She's like a pro at all of that stuff. And so yeah, I think those would is a good start. Ryan, do you have anything that you like to kind of follow around?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you said is a great list. I'll be honest. I actually this will blow some people's mind. I actually moved to having a dumb phone that doesn't allow apps at all, so no social media apps whatsoever. And so for the past 4 or 5 months, I've been off of it, and I might. My team's a much better team at that. I'm trying to balance myself.
I know you were telling me about this, and this is a thing now, guys, like having a dumb phone instead of a smartphone, which I don't think I could do. I don't think I could do that. But not to mention, I do head up marketing, so I have literally like every
Right,
kind of
I can
app you can
facilitate
imagine on my phone.
It's
So,
funny, as we've grown as a team, I've learned to lean more and more on the experts on stuff
yep.
and on the marketers and on the people doing things. I know Greg Todd with GT Marketing. He does. I think CC's given him a shout out. He does a lot of like consulting when it comes to that. But there's a lot of great tools out there. I mean, but it goes back to what we mentioned earlier. Just continuing to educate yourself. Doesn't matter where you're at and which part of it. It's so funny because there are times like if you do it right. My wife and I had a scenario where we had posted, we created a blog post and we shared the blog post about, questions you should ask your wedding florist. And then my wife was talking to a bride in a consultation and she was asking some really familiar questions. And she was like, I wonder why she has these. And she noticed that she had printed out that social media post and that blog post that we had and was literally asking us the questions from the thing we created, right? So
Oh,
that's super. I love how Penny said it here in terms of building education for your clients. That's so huge because if you take that step forward and you do that, that helps you to your customers to be more educated and walk into conversations with you, and you're ready to be able to help them too.
I love it. I love it. And thank you, Cece, for sharing about GT marketing and consulting. And she said that he has a free group and a podcast too, which is great. Good to know. Free group. I'm putting this in my notes so I don't forget. And because as soon as I end this, my Instagram live comments they disappear forever. So I gotta get it while I can. Good stuff. Awesome, Ryan. Do you have any closing thoughts for us before we wrap up?
No, I mean, again, if you're out there in 2022, it's going to be a crazy year. Like right now is the time to get ready for it. I just really encourage y'all, like, don't wait till the middle of January when it's getting nuts with the number of people coming. Start doing that legwork now. Really encourage y'all. It's going to be a fun year. It's going to be a really exciting year. It's going to be kind of I wouldn't call it a normal year, but about as close to normal as the ones that we've had. So do your homework now, do your legwork now. If you're trying to implement a system, implement it now so that next year when it comes in, you're ready to go and you're ready to rock and roll and make a big impact for your clients. And other than that, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Super excited to be able to celebrate another end of year here.
Yay. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan. Love you. Guys, that's a wrap on today's Mornings with Mayesh. And for 2021, I can't even believe it. We did so many episodes this year. I hope they were helpful to you. It was literally a super crazy year. We made it through it together. I hope you felt as supported as we did by all of our amazing customers. I want to thank you so much. Our first show in January will be a fantastic interview with our first 2022 Mayesh Design Star. Who will it be? What are we going to discuss? You got to stay tuned and be sure to join. Make sure you join our email list too if you haven't already. I'll share the link for that. You got to subscribe, guys, so you don't miss out on all the amazing things that we do and all the great content that we put out for you. And of course, everything's going slow right now. But if you go over to mayesh.com, you'll see a subscribe button on the bottom, subscribe button on our blog. It's all over the place, I promise. It's really easy to do. And then also, just a reminder, make sure you mark your calendars for January 18th so that we can join our Japanese Flower Festival. It's going to be so much fun. And I just, again, wanted to just let you guys know how thankful I am for each and every one of you, for all of my live viewers, all those that listen to the podcast while you're hustling, and for all of you guys that watch the replays. I'm sending lots of love and gratitude to you guys. For myself and the rest of the Mayesh family, we wish you all a very merry holiday and a bright new year. I will see you all next year. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.